Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture just to see how those incidents affect our daily life. Listen, we are trudging along here. We are on season 3, episode 2 of The Mandalorian, entitled The Mines of Mandalore. Now, everything here happened purposefully and quickly. As we picked up from last, I'm just going to go over the whole thing. IG-11, as we saw in the last episode, Mando was trying to get IG-11 back online so that IG-11 can go through the mines of Mandalore, or go to the planet of Mandalore to see if it's breathable, if you can breathe the air, if you can do any of those things like that down there in Mandalore. And that didn't work out. IG-11 reverted back to his default programming. And I think it's the Asdarians, I think that's what they're called, the little cute little people, told Mando that his current chip is destroyed. If they can find if he can get another chip, they're going to be able to fix him. So Mando had the great idea to go back to Tatooine now. And he goes back to Tatooine. He talks to Peli, and she tells him, well, anyway, he goes back to Tatooine. As he comes back, Peli is down there. I guess it's the Bunta parade or the Bunta celebration. If you remember that was one of the same celebrations that we saw little Anakin doing the pod races for. So apparently this is a great celebration for them on Tatooine. So they were engaging in that, and Peli was running a scam. So she would have the Jawas strip these pod racers, and then the pod people, the person who owns the pod would come to her wanting to get it fixed. She'd tell them it's a cost up front, because she has to go buy the parts. And then the Jawas come up from the back, give her the charge. They split the fee, and then they go back and do it to somebody else. So they running this little scam. So she's not buying new parts. She's just stealing their parts and selling them back to her. So Mando and them arrive, and she's so happy to see Mando. She's so happy to see Grogu, and Grogu was so happy to see her. He jumped from the ship into her arms. Now, is it me? But did she say that Grogu had sound like he said his first words? Now I'm gonna table that. That's what I thought I heard, because as I go back through, I'm gonna go back to that little bit. So you also see Grogu is kind of pretty much in his own, not doing too much, but he is I think he's getting more comfortable in his skin. And I saw his little chainmail, I guess, for the first time. I don't know, I must have looked over it last episode, but it's so cute. He got his little chainmail on. He's a little Mandalorian in training. But anyway, let's keep it moving. So he talks to Peli, talks to the Jawas. They don't have the part. This is just a side note. Jawa seems like they are on pretty much every planet in the Outer Rim. Why they don't have internet connection? Why can't the Jawas call each other up and see if somebody got the part? Because somebody got that IG-11 part. I'm just saying. You might not find it on Tatooine, but somebody has that part. One of the things that I wanted to go over really quick, because I think I did not go over it the last episode, and as I sat down with that, I realized it is important. We have seen in these last 2 episodes that Mando Din Djarin is teaching Grogu the ways of a Mandalorian. And every step of the way, he is teaching him. He's teaching him about, don't trust the pirates. He's teaching them about how a Mandalorian has to know how to fight, but a Mandalorian has to know how to navigate the galaxy so they'll never be lost. They need to know where they're going at all times. He's teaching him the religion of the Mandalorian. And I thought that is such a good representation of fathers and what fathers are supposed to be doing with their children, teaching them, even though they don't understand, but they soak in like a sponge. And I think this is so great for Grogu, because as he gets comfortable with Din Djarin, he is starting to babble a little more. Because You remember the other episodes, other couple of seasons, he always was pretty much quiet and everything was on his face. Now you see him babbling. Now you see, because Din Djarin keeps talking to him and talking to him, and then Peli noticed that he might have said a word. I am thinking that we are going to hear Grogu speak simple sentences before the end of this season. That's one of my prediction, that we're going to hear him speak some simple sentences before the end of this season. So let's continue on. Peli didn't have what he needed, but she sold him on R5D4. And child, I ain't never seen a robot scared. That thing tickled me so bad. It's just always that little bit of humor in there that I enjoy about Mando. It's not overly saturated with humor, but it's always that little bit of humor that'll get you cackling. And I was cackling, honey, because I was like, how you a droid, a robot, and you scared? You remind me, you scared of this CP3O. And at least CP3O would go out of some coaxing. You don't want to go at all. But anyway, and if you remember him, he's the droid that always had the bad motivator. I just think he was scared, and he just popped his motivator by himself because he didn't want to get back into the war. That poor baby got PTSD because Peli was hyping him up about, him being in the war and him fighting for the Republic. I think she said the Republic. So that tells me that he's been around about as long as Yoda, ain't he? Because because she wasn't just talking about the what do you call them? What did the Emperor call himself? She said the Republic, and that made me think about way back in the day, but it might not have been him. But anyway, Mando takes him, and they go to Mandalore, and he sends R5D4 to go and test the air, which I thought was interesting, because I was like, wouldn't your instruments be able to test the air in your machine? But or maybe he doesn't have that particular instrument in there. But he sends him out there. He goes out here, and poor little Grogu is worried about him because he knows that R5D4 is a little nervous, and he's worried about him. And they see him on the screen, and again, Din Djarin is teaching Grogu all the stuff, and then all of a sudden, they do not see R5D4's little blip on the screen. So that makes Din Djarin a little upset, because he's like, oh Lord, we got to go out here. I got to go out here. So they go out and they go down into the mines, and then they run into these creatures. Baby, them things was popping and locking and popping and doing all kinds of stuff. It been beating them up. And then we run into, let me see, I'm trying to figure out how did Grogu? Yeah, Grogu followed. Din Djarin gets beat up, and then he gets captured by this cyborgy type thing. And it reminded me of General Grievous, some kind of cyborgy type thing. And I'm thinking that that's one of those Empire. That's what the Emperor called everything. It was left over from the Empire that that they have since left Mandalore, and they left his butt there. So he's just been down there trying to survive. And anytime some fresh meat comes, he takes him, put him in this like Iron Maiden or this cage thing, and then he literally never-ending stories, that doggone thing, and sucks the essence. He was sucking the essence out of damn Mando. And so they were down there doing that. Poor Grogu goes down, and he tries to use the Force, but when you're afraid, you can't capture the Force like you need to. And he hasn't learned that, because Din Djarin can't teach him how to use the Force. Only another Force user can teach him how to use the Force. So he's unable to, that's too big of an item for him to pop over, because I think it's just an intricate, and he doesn't have the wherewithal to pull boats and stuff like that. He can pick things up and throw them, but he's having issues with the intricate things, like the pushing this bolt up here and doing this thing, because he was trying to just open it just by sheer force, and he couldn't do it because of all the bolts and things like that was keeping it locked. So he got found out, and so Din Djarin tells him, "Go get Bo-Katan." And boy, baby Grogu went flying up out of there because he got to go get Bo-Katan, because Bo-Katan got to come on here and help him with his daddy. And as he was going to the front, that's what we see, where we saw the previews where that big monster comes. Grogu said, "I don't have no time to play with you. I really do not have any time to play with you. I got to go see Bo-Katan." Boy, he whooped. The monster went flying. He gets into the ship, and he flies it with the assistance of R5D4 to go over there to get Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan is sitting in her palace, honey, moping and groping and being me, just moping, because all the things, or all the plans and things that she had for being the ruler of Mandalore didn't work out. She see Din Djarin's ship and she walks out there because I'm, mad and huffing and puffing. I done told him I don't want to be bothered with him and all his mess. Da 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 da. Baby, she goes up to that ship, and then you see little Grogu with his little chilly willy eyes. So like, save my daddy, please. Save my dad. Baby, she downloads the information to get back down to Mandalore, and she and Grogu go down there, and they end up saving Din Djarin. She thought it was the end of it. She thought, okay, he's gonna go and we're gonna go back home. But Mando is convicted. He does not want that smell of apostate on him. He wants to be considered a Mandalorian again. So she takes him, she's talking to him, and he's basically reminding her of the religious side. She's reminding him of what it means to be a Mandalorian. If you don't follow the creed, are you really a Mandalorian? What are you wanting? Because she kept saying about, Mandalorians are scattered and we keep fighting each other. And Mando is basically saying, you got to be united for something. Something's got to unite you as a Mandalorian. For Mando, it's his creed. She says, oh, well, that's just such a thing. But you take someone like Mando, he could move the people with it. He had to learn the strict religious ways, take what he needed to take from that, and be able to possibly rule a people. But she takes him down to the mines. She takes him down to the waters, and Mando starts to recite the creed and everything. And he gets down and he gets into the water. He makes one extra step into the water, and then all of a sudden he dropped like it looked like he dropped like a sack of potatoes. I was like, now wait a minute, you can't drop that far that quick. He wasn't. He was pulled under. So Bo-Katan realizes, oh crap, something done pulled him under. She tells stay here. She jumps in the water and she goes down, and she goes all the way down into the mines, all the way down into the water, and she sees him. So she sees him, she picks him up, and she takes him up to the top. Baby, as she was going up, who did she lay her eyes on? That big old, that mythosaur is big as hell. She sees the mythosaur. And so now she went up and she pulled him up. She pulls him up. And I think she is about to have a reclamation in regards to what it is to be a Mandalore. And the words in the armor are starting to ring true, that once the mythosaur or something, the Mandalore will be great again. And I think that that's what's going to happen. Because you remember Mando has ridden a Rancor, and he's ridden something else too. So I know he is going to want to ride this mythosaur. I think he wants to do that because that's going to unite his people, which is going to be good. And that was basically the episode. I just have a few little thoughts. Because you remember when I talked about my thought number one, you remember how I talked about earlier how Mando is teaching Grogu the ways of the Mandalore. And we see the title, The Mandalorian. And then it hit me. We're looking at the wrong Mandalorian. I don't really think that Mando is going to be the one that unites his people. I think Grogu is going to unite his people. Now, I don't know if Grogu is going to be able to wear a Beskar helmet and not be able to remove his helmet because, you know, he got them little ears and things. He may, I don't know. But I do think that Mando's job is to teach Grogu the ways of the Mandalore so that he can become the Mandalore. And why do I say that? There's just some things that are falling in place for me. Number one, we see the mythosaur. And what do we know about Grogu? Grogu can talk to these animals. You remember he's talked to at least two of them. And I remember he talked to that Rancor? And he was able to calm that Rancor down. He was also able to, there was another one in season 2 that he was able to talk to and calm down. So he has the ability to calm the savage beast. And that is because of by way of the Force. Mando right now has the dark saber. He cannot wield it because he is not focused of mind. But I think that Grogu is going to be the one that's going to be focused of mind to wield this that lightsaber, the dark saber, excuse me. I think that he's going to do that. And I think what's going to happen for me, and we're going to go through the season, is that Mando and Grogu are going to unite all the factions of the Mandalorians. And also what I think is going to happen too is, you know, they have the creed and they have the way. And I think Mando is going to interject the creed that Mandalorians can no longer fight each other. He may unite, you know how they have all these little separate houses. He may unite them under one house. There's only one house. There's only one way, which will be the Din Djarin way. That's what we're going to learn. Let's see. Is there anything else that I had pulled from this? It was interesting to find out that Din Djarin grew up on Concordia, so he was trained up by Death Watch. So we already knew that, but it was just nice for him to explain that to Grogu, that he grew up on that moon. And it'd be interesting right now because there's the Mandalorians control 1,000 planets. It would be interesting if we go to some of those planets in which they, that's in their solar system. Because honestly, y'all, why are we acting like Tatooine is the only place that we could go? Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. I know it's established and I know it's easy, but we need to go to. There's 1,000 planets in that Mandalorian solar system. We need to go to at least 5 more, because I'm quite sure there are just pockets and pockets of Mandalorian and all these little different places. We need to get to those places. We need to see. Right. But that's it. That's my review. That's what I saw. I am enjoying this. And I hope that you all are enjoying this too. If you like this video, if you got some information to give me, please hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button if you like my reviews and you would like to support me. It helps engage me and it helps me, gets me up in that algorithm. I am a new channel. If you'd like, you can follow me on any of my other social media places. They're right here. I think I am more active on Instagram and about TikTok, but I'm more active on Instagram. You can follow me over there on Instagram. And as always, people, get everything together. Get the bass in my voice. Bye-bye.